Hello and welcome to Millennium News Hour. I'm Tanziba Nawreen. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Tennessee Republicans vote on expelling Democrats for gun protest. Idaho governor signs abortion trafficking bill into law. GOP's DeSantis visits Whitmer's Michigan, the anti-Florida. Formal results confirm Milatovic win in Montenegro election. Jill Biden accepts tulip named for her by the Netherlands. Kansas bans transgender athletes from women's girls sports. Peru ex-leader Toledo loses bid to stop extradition from US. South Korean president invited to address US Congress. Cash App founder Bob Lee stabbed to death in San Francisco. China vows forceful measures after US-Taiwan meeting. Chinese President Xi calls for Ukraine peace talks. Rowdy protests again hit France, but striker numbers dwindle. Austria says 35 migrants found in trailer, driver arrested. Japan's army says helicopter carrying 10 crashed into ocean. Juventus given partial stadium ban for racism toward Lukaku. And Rays defeat Nationals 7-2, open season with 6 straight wins. You were listening to Headlines, now news in detail. The Republican-controlled Tennessee state legislature is set to vote on expelling 3 Democrats who took part in a gun control protest at the state house in the wake of last week's deadly school shooting in Nashville. Protesters began to gather early Thursday at the state capitol before the vote, which is expected to pass easily with Republicans controlling 75 seats to Democrats' 25 in the 100-seat chamber. In the resolutions calling for their expulsion, Republicans accused the Democrats' Representatives Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson of engaging in disorderly behavior by taking part in the protest, saying they did knowingly and intentionally bring disorder and dishonor to the House of Representatives through their individual and collective actions. The trio had used a bullhorn on Friday to lead protesters in chanting demands for stricter gun laws in the state, days after an assailant wielding 2 assault-style weapons and a pistol fatally shot 3 9-year-old students at 3 adults at the Covenant School, a private Christian primary school in the city. The protest briefly halted legislative proceedings. A 2/3 majority vote is required for the expulsion. Legal limits on abortion-related travel are the focus of a new law and a new lawsuit in Idaho, with Governor Brad Little signing a bill Wednesday that makes it illegal for an adult to help a minor get an abortion without parental consent. Meanwhile, two doctors and a regional Planned Parenthood affiliate have filed a lawsuit over the state's newly released interpretation of a separate anti-abortion law because the Attorney General says it prohibits physicians from even referring patients to out-of-state abortion providers. The new abortion trafficking law signed on Wednesday is the first of its kind in the US. It makes it illegal to either obtain abortion pills for a minor or to help them leave the state for an abortion without their parents' knowledge and consent. Anyone convicted will face 2 to 5 years in prison and could also be sued by the minor's parent or guardian. Parents who raped their child will not be able to sue, though the criminal penalties for anyone who helped the minor obtain an abortion will remain in effect. The law also gives the Attorney General the ability to prosecute someone for alleged violations of the law, even if the county prosecutor, who would normally be responsible for filing a criminal case, declines to prosecute. Ahead of a highly anticipated presidential announcement, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis visited Michigan for his first appearance this year in the battleground state transformed by Democratic majorities under high-profile Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The visit put the contrasting leadership styles of the Republican and Democrat on display after they scored landslide 2022 rejection victories that vaulted them to be their party's brightest emerging stars. In Florida, DeSantis and the GOP-dominated legislature have moved the state further right, waging a culture war on what the governor has called woke agendas. In Michigan, Whitmer has led the way on codifying abortion rights and advancing sweeping gun reform, with Democrats in full control for the first time in decades. Whitmer has been a top ally to President Joe Biden and a kind of proxy for his leadership in their party and what's possible under Democrats. DeSantis is one of the top potential candidates looking to unseat Biden next year. Thursday's visit was also one of DeSantis' first out-of-state appearances since former President Donald Trump was indicted. With all eyes on Trump, others vying for the GOP nomination have found it difficult to gain much notice. Tulip lovers have a new variety to choose from and it's named for Jill Biden. The First Lady accepted her Jill Biden tulip from André Haspels, ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to the United States, during a ceremony at his official residence on Wednesday. The flower is reddish-orange with fringed petals. Biden delivered a toast and said she was honored to participate in the tradition. In this happy time, let these tulips, dazzling orange, be a reminder of the many springs our nations have shared, and be a beacon for the friendships we continue to strengthen today, she said, according to her office. The Dutch have named tulips after 7 U.S. First Ladies, starting in the late 1800s with Frances Folsom Cleveland, the wife of President Grover Cleveland. Most recently, President George W. Bush's wife, Laura, accepted her tulip in 2004. It was a very special ceremony because it doesn't happen every day, Haspels told the Associated Press in a telephone interview after the presentation. Jill Biden is known to enjoy freshly cut flowers. She has a flower-cutting garden at the White House. The Dutch fondness for tulips dates to 1594, when botanist Carolus Clausius planted tulip bulbs in the garden at the University of Leiden, Haspels said. Since then, the Dutch have mastered the art of cultivating and growing many varieties of tulips. Kansas is banning transgender athletes from girls' and women's sports from kindergarten through college, the first of several possible new laws restricting the rights of transgender people pushed through by Republican legislatures over the wishes of the Democratic governor. The legislature on Wednesday overrode Governor Laura Kelly's third veto in 3 years of a bill to ban transgender athletes, and came a day after state lawmakers passed a broad bathroom bill. 19 other states have imposed restrictions on transgender athletes, most recently Wyoming. The Kansas law takes effect July 1 and is among several hundred proposals that Republican lawmakers across the U.S. have pursued this year to push back on LGBTQ rights. Kansas lawmakers who back the ban are also pursuing proposals to end gender-affirming care for minors and restrict restroom use. The measure approved by Kansas lawmakers Tuesday would prevent transgender people from using public restrooms, locker rooms, and other facilities associated with their gender identities and bars them from changing their name or gender on their driver's licenses. Kelly is expected to veto that. A U.S. appeals court panel on Wednesday denied an appeal by former Peruvian President Alexandre Toledo Manrique to stop his extradition to face charges he accepted millions of dollars in bribes as part of a mammoth corruption scandal in which four of Peru's ex-presidents have been implicated. Toledo, who is 77 years old, is accused of taking 20 million in bribes from Odebrecht, a giant Brazilian construction company that has admitted to U.S. authorities that it bribed officials to win contracts throughout Latin America for decades. He had sought a stay on his extradition pending a legal challenge to the U.S. State Department's decision to send him back to Peru. Toledo, who was Peru's president in 2001 to 2006, was arrested in July 2019 at his home in Menlo Park, California. He was initially held in solitary confinement at the Santa Rita jail about 40 miles east of San Francisco, but was released in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. He has been under house arrest since then. The judge in the extradition case, Thomas Hickson, revoked Toledo's bail Wednesday and ordered him to surrender to U.S. Marshals in San Francisco by 9 a.m. Friday to be returned to jail, at the request of U.S. Attorney Ismail Ramsey. Ramsey said that the U.S. Marshals Service would move to turn him over to Peruvian authorities, but when that might happen was unclear. The Odebrecht corruption scandal has shaken Peru's politics, with nearly every living former president now on trial or under investigation. U.S. congressional leaders have invited the president of South Korea to address a joint meeting during a visit to Washington later this month. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and other leaders announced Thursday they have invited Republic of Korea President Yoon Suk-yeol to address a joint meeting of Congress in honor of the 70th anniversary of the alliance between the U.S. and the Republic of Korea. The session is set for April 27, with this year marking the 70th anniversary of the alliance between our two countries. It is an especially important time to reflect on the achievements of our partnership and to reaffirm our shared commitment to democracy, economic prosperity, and global peace, the leaders wrote. They said the relationship between the U.S. and the Republic of Korea is one of great importance and significance, and said the meeting would provide an ideal platform for you to share your vision for the future of the U.S.-Korea alliance. President Joe Biden is hosting Yoon at an April 26 state dinner, Biden's second as president. The invitation to address the Congress comes as the U.S. is strengthening its alliances with Asia and intensifying its focus on China. This week, McCarthy breaks China's anger by hosting a bipartisan meeting with President Tsai Ing-wen of Taiwan in a diplomatic show of U.S. support for the island government that is territory claimed by Beijing. Bob Lee, the founder of payment application Cash App and chief product officer of cryptocurrency company MobileCoin, has died after an apparent stabbing in San Francisco in the United States. Lee's father and San Francisco police said the tech entrepreneur died early on Tuesday morning after being stabbed in the downtown area of the city, which is known for its vibrant tech startup scene. I just lost my best friend, my son Bob Lee, when he lost his life on the street in San Francisco early Tuesday morning, Rick Lee wrote on Facebook. The San Francisco Police Department said in a statement that officers responded to a report of a stabbing on Main Street, where they located a 43-year-old man suffering from apparent stab wounds. The victim later died in hospital, and homicide detectives have opened an investigation into the incident, the statement said, without naming Lee. Tech leaders expressed shock and paid tributes to Lee following the news. Lee co-founded Cash App, an alternative to traditional banking, while working as the Chief Technology Officer for Square, now known as Block, before joining MobileCoin in 2021. Lee had earlier worked for Google, helping to develop its Android platform. Now it's time for global updates. China vowed reprisals against Taiwan after a meeting between the United States House Speaker and the island's president, saying Thursday that the US was on a wrong and dangerous road. Speaker Kevin McCarthy hosted Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen on Wednesday in a show of US support for the self-governed island, which China claims as its own, along with a bipartisan delegation of more than a dozen US lawmakers. The Biden administration maintains there is nothing provocative about the visit by Tsai, which is the latest of a half dozen to the US. Yet it comes as the US-China relationship has fallen to historic lows, with US support for Taiwan one of the main points of difference between the two powers. But the formal trappings of the meeting and the senior rank of some of the elected officials in the delegation from Congress could lead China to view it as an escalation. No speaker is known to have met with a Taiwanese president on US soil since the US broke off formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan in 1979. In response to the meeting, Beijing said in a statement issued early morning by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that it would take resolute and forceful measures to defend national sovereignty and territorial integrity. It urged the US not to walk further down a wrong and dangerous road. Chinese leader Xi Jinping called Thursday for peace talks over Ukraine after French President Emmanuel Macron appealed to him to bring Russia to its senses. But Xi gave no indication Beijing would use its leverage as Vladimir Putin's diplomatic partner to press for a settlement. Xi gave no sign China, which declared it had a no-limits friendship with Moscow before last year's invasion, had changed its stance since calling for peace talks in February. Peace talks should resume as soon as possible, Xi said. He called on other governments to avoid doing anything that might make the crisis deteriorate or even get out of control. Beijing, which sees Moscow as a partner in opposing US domination of global affairs, has tried to appear neutral in the conflict but has given Putin diplomatic support and repeated Russian justifications for the February 2022 attack. She received an effusive welcome from Putin when he visited Moscow last month, giving the isolated Russian president a political boost. The Chinese leader said legitimate security concerns of all parties should be considered, a reference to Moscow's argument that it attacked Ukraine because of the eastward expansion of NATO, the US-European military alliance. During talks earlier, Macron appealed to Xi to bring Russia to its senses and bring everyone back to the negotiating table. Protesters disrupted vehicle traffic at Paris' main airport, and police fired clouds of tear gas in other French cities in the latest round of strikes and demonstrations Thursday against President Emmanuel Macron's contested pension reforms. Macron's drive to raise the national retirement age from 62 to 64 has ignited a months-long firestorm of public anger. Talks between trade union leaders and Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne broke up Wednesday without a breakthrough, setting the stage for protesters' return to the streets, while unions called yet another day of protest for April 13. However, the number of strikers has fallen, particularly in the transportation sector, since protests began in January. About 400,000 people joined the protest in Paris Thursday, down from 450,000 the week before, said the powerful CGT union. Interior Ministry estimates of the marchers' numbers weren't immediately available but are always much lower. On Thursday, the Paris metro ran almost normally, in stark contrast to previous days of action. Less than 8% of teachers were on strike, according to the Education Ministry. However, the sizable Total Energies oil refinery in Gonfreville-l'Archer remained closed. 35 migrants were found in the trailer of a truck in southern Austria after the vehicle was damaged and an employee at a repair workshop heard noises from inside, police said Thursday. The driver was arrested. The Polish-registered vehicle drove the wrong way out of a highway rest area near Klagenfurt on Wednesday afternoon, triggering traffic spikes that damaged its tires and caused some of them to catch fire, police in Carinthia province said in a statement. The driver extinguished the flames. Witnesses reported the incident to highway police and the vehicle was towed to a nearby village, where the truck was taken into a garage for repairs. Police say the driver, a 68-year-old Turkish citizen, contacted his boss, who became agitated when told the work wouldn't be finished until the following morning, and pushed for the repairs to be completed as quickly as possible. At around 9 p.m., 7 hours after the highway incident, a garage employee noticed noises and voices coming from the sealed trailer, which had been parked while the truck itself was repaired, police said. Another employee using an infrared camera saw evidence of movement inside the vehicle. Police were called and opened the trailer, finding 35 people inside who were suffering from the cold and had spent more than 70 hours in the vehicle without supplies. They said the people were from Bangladesh, Nepal, and Egypt, but they were still investigating their route and planned destination. A missing Japanese army helicopter carrying 10 crew members is believed to have crashed into the sea off a southern island after objects appearing to be aircraft parts were spotted in the area, an official said Thursday. The UH-60JA Black Hawk helicopter disappeared from radar on Thursday afternoon while on a reconnaissance mission north of Miyako Island, the head of the Ground Self-Defense Force, Yasunori Morishita, said at a news conference. Debris believed to be aircraft parts was spotted in the area, about 1,800 kilometers southwest of Tokyo, he said. The government is aggressively building up its defense capability in southwestern Japan in response to China's increasingly assertive military activity in the region, including Taiwan. Kyodo News said Japanese Coast Guard ships also found traces of oil that may be related to the missing helicopter, but officials declined to confirm the report. Official results released Thursday confirmed a crushing defeat for Montenegro's longtime leader Milo Djukanovic in a weekend presidential election, signaling his departure from the small Balkan state's political scene after more than 30 years in power. Economic expert Jakov Milatovic, a political novice, won Sunday's presidential runoff with around 59% of the vote, according to the final official results. Djukanovic led Montenegro to independence from much larger Serbia in 2006 and to NATO membership in 2017. Milatovic's victory reflected voter fatigue with Djukanovic, who has served as president twice and prime minister 7 times, as well as disillusionment with established politicians. Although the presidency is largely a ceremonial position in Montenegro, it influences the political trends in the country. Djukanovic tendered his resignation as president of Montenegro's largest party, the centrist Democratic Party of Socialists. The party, which Djukanovic led for 25 years, on Thursday named an interim leader. Djukanovic told a party meeting that he would stay on as a member. He said the party's election performance was unsatisfactory but not so low given what he called the influence of certain factors from outside Montenegro, a reference to negative propaganda against him from Serbia and the Serbian Orthodox Church during campaigning. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,372.49. The NYSE composite is increased by 4.23 points or 0.03%. Tokyo stock close price is 27,472.63. The Nikkei 225 index is decreased by 340.63 points or 1.22%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,312.628. The Shanghai Composite Index is increased by 0.07 points or 0.00%. Hong Kong stock close price is 20,331.20. The Hang Seng Index is increased by 56.61 points or 0.28%. Bombay stock close price is 59,832.97. The Sensex index is increased by 143.66 points or 0.24%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. Juventus was given a partial stadium ban for its next home game in the Italian Cup after some of its supporters directed racist chants at Inter Milan striker Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku was sanctioned with a second yellow card for provoking Juventus fans by holding his finger to his lips as if to silence the crowd after converting a stoppage time penalty to earn Inter a 1-1 draw in the first leg of the semi-finals on Tuesday. Lukaku was suspended for the second leg of the semi-finals on April 26 by the Italian league judge on Thursday. Lukaku's gesture enraged the opposing team and the game ended in a scuffle between the two squads, with Juventus winger Juan Cuadrado and Inter goalkeeper Samir Handanovic also sent off. Cuadrado was banned for 3 matches while Handanovic was banned for 1 game. Each player was fined €10,000. Part of the southern end of the Allianz Stadium will be closed for Juventus' first home game in next season's Italian Cup. Juventus said it would collaborate with authorities to identify the fans responsible, while Lukaku's management company reacted with outrage to the yellow card handed to the center forward. Wander Franco and Harold Ramirez each had 2 hits, including a home run, and the Tampa Bay Rays defeated the Washington Nationals 7-2 on Wednesday. The Rays improved to 6-0 and extended the best start in franchise history. They are off to the best start of any team since Baltimore opened 7-0 in 2016. Taylor Walls and Randy Arozarena had 2 hits each for Tampa Bay, which has outscored opponents 44-13. Shane McClanahan allowed 2 runs on 5 hits and 4 walks over 6 innings, allowing at least 1 base runner in every inning but the 6th. He struck out 6. Victor Robles had 2 hits for the Nationals, who have lost 5 of their first 6 games. Washington starter Patrick Corbin gave up 6 runs on 10 hits over 6 innings. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest update. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia. Available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.